Hey, ladies and gents, welcome back. This is going to be part 2 to What If Naruto Was Scorpion. So, in the last part, we left off with Naruto being born in the Nether Realm and then being reborn inside of the Naruto universe, going through basically till where he got to become like a Genin and defeat Kakashi and everything like that, and all of his D rank missions until he got to the point where he was going to do his C rank mission, which is getting a bridge builder named Tazuna. So, with that being said, let's get started. So, as I just said, we're going to start off once again with the C ranked mission to guide the bridge builder named Tazuna back to his, basically, homeland to build a bridge. So, with that being said, let's get into the actual part of the what if, or the new parts to the what if. So, they leave the actual village itself and they begin their journey towards the actual, bridge, I guess you could say. And this is where there's this weird puddle that it's kind of odd for it being in the middle of, the dry season and it's hasn't rained in, weeks at this point. And Kakashi's kind of wondering exactly why exactly it's there, and thinking it might have something to do with there being people around. So, with that, he's a little bit more on guard, but he doesn't actually decide to tell anybody about it. And while, yes, Naruto is very smart, and if he was actually, paying attention to it, he probably would have been able to notice it and decipher the fact that, indeed, there are people around. But he doesn't care. He doesn't care enough to actually, think about the fact that that puddle might be something strange. He's just thinking, oh, there's a puddle there. Cool. He doesn't care enough. He is really, insanely intelligent. He has, photographic memory, but he doesn't really, have a reason to, look at it and think about it too much because he doesn't give a fuck. There's no reason for him to, care too much. He just doesn't really care at this point because really nobody has been able to give him any sort of a challenge or anything like that. He's just been been able to defeat basically anybody who tried to challenge him, even while he's barely using any of his actual, real power or anything like that. So he doesn't care. So he doesn't notice the actual puddle itself. So when the two Chunin brothers do end up attacking, they do successfully manage to take out Kakashi. Or seemingly take out Kakashi. But obviously Naruto isn't surprised, or not, it's not that he's not surprised, it's just he doesn't react that poorly to it, I guess you could say. He just kind of, looks up, sees exactly what they just did, falls into the ground, teleports over to them, and he kind of just grabs them both and slowly squeezes their heads. They are basically screaming out in agony until finally Kakashi comes out and is just like, whoa, my guy, that's enough. I'm alive still. Naruto would look over and be like, yeah, I literally saw you jump away, my guy. I know you're fine. And Kakashi's like, oh, is that so? Interesting. And they'll be like, okay, whatever. So they end up sending the ninja back to the Leaf Village for questioning and anything that they plan to end up doing with them, and they continue on with their walk. So after another few hours of walking, they're actually relatively close to Tazuna's house at this point, and there they see this mist that starts to roll over. After this mist starts to basically roll over, Kakashi screams for everybody to duck because there's a massive sword that's flying over. Instead of ducking, Naruto would turn around to see this massive sword about to basically decapitate him, and he would just simply hold out his hand. He would catch the sword in his hand, flip it around, and be holding it by the handle. This is kinda heavy, he would basically think to himself. And as he's doing that, he swings the sword a few times, clearing the mist, and Zabuza walks out. Insanely impressed by the display that this kid just did, he asks for his name. Naruto basically just tells him, he's like, I'm Naruto, and who exactly might you be? He basically introduces himself as Zabuza, and Kakashi basically explains to Naruto that he's a Kage assassin, and that that Kakashi should probably be the one to actually take him on, because he's insanely powerful. Or at least Kakashi thinks that he's the only one that would be able to do really anything to him. Just because he doesn't necessarily believe that Naruto was actually holding back in their fight. He actually thinks that he was going full power. So, with that, Naruto would basically just look over at Kakashi, and he would just tell him, he's like, I've been looking for a while to satiate something, and I'm going to do that. You just sit back and watch me kill this man. Zabuza at that would just laugh. He'd just be like, you think you can kill me? Yeah, sure you can. Come at me, you little brat. Naruto would look over at him, and he would just shrug and be like, you asked for it, as he lunges towards Zabuza now. His speed easily outpacing anything that Zabuza has really ever faced before, and Naruto now basically is bringing the sword down on Zabuza. Zabuza manages to jump out of the way of the sword, dodging its attack, and he's basically like, this kid, why is he so strong? Naruto starts basically jumping back towards him now, and he uses his chain kunai. I don't remember, what is it even called? The get over here. It's the get over here chain kunai thing. I just like, I don't know exactly what it's actually called. He uses that, and he pierces Scorpion with it. Or, Zabuza, don't mind me. I'm just trying to not talk right now. I don't know exactly what's going on with my head, but whatever. And he uses it to pierce Zabuza. He pulls him over, and he is about to basically completely ruin his day with the massive sword, and Zabuza can't actually do anything at this point because he's caught on the chain. This is where Haku would jump in, throwing a few of his needles at Naruto's arm, basically making it so he couldn't move his arm. The sword would fall from Naruto's arm, and he'd look over at it casually, wondering exactly what was happening with it. He would basically, like, shrug it off, pull out all of the needles, and his arm, after a few moments, would come back, basically not being numb anymore. He would once again pick up the sword, and he would look at the other person facing him now. And he would be like, so the little friend finally decided to come out of the trees. And Haku would be like, wait, you knew I was there? Naruto was like, I knew, but I didn't really care enough to do anything about it. Haku was like, oh, okay then. And he gets into a fighting position to basically get ready to face off against Naruto with Zabuza. So they begin fighting Naruto now 2-on-1, and they're doing a lot better than what Zabuza was doing alone, but still, it isn't anywhere near enough to be able to take on Naruto at this point. At some point during the fight, Zabuza would probably complain about not being able to have his sword and that he would be doing much better if he had it. Naruto, a little intrigued by this, decides that he was going to throw Zabuza his sword because, again, he just wants to actually have somebody to be a challenge to him. He then summons a sword out of fire, and he points it towards Zabuza now, basically just asking for a little bit of a duel. Zabuza obviously just charges at Naruto now, kind of accepting it, but kind of also just saying, I'm going to kill you. And he lunges towards Naruto now. He swings his sword down onto Naruto, but Naruto simply swings his sword up with a parry and chops the Zabuza sword clean in half before basically bringing it back with a little flick of his wrist and impaling it into Zabuza's chest. Zabuza would basically groan, and he would fall to the ground now, holding his chest. It didn't actually pierce his heart or anything like that, but he is definitely gravely injured at this point. Haku would jump down, basically putting Zabuza over his shoulder before jumping out of the way. Naruto didn't really see a reason to chase them because they're too weak to do anything. He doesn't really see them as a threat at this point. So everybody basically just moves on, and they go to Zabuza's little hideout thing. Or, not hideout. Tazuna, not Zabuza, in his house. So, with that, they go there. That's what I was trying to say. Oh my gosh. So when they get to the actual house itself, Kakashi would be questioning Naruto on basically why he allowed them to escape and different things like that. Naruto would basically just simply answer, they weren't enough of a threat to me to basically go out of my way to actually end up killing them. And plus, I was hoping for an actual challenge, and I feel that they're going to basically come after me again, and I kind of want that to happen. Kakashi would be like, whatever, kid. He doesn't really care all too much, because he's like, he saw that Naruto basically easily took both of them on, of whom both of them were around Kakashi's level. So he was like, this kid, what the hell is he doing? So with that, he's like, whatever, fine, do your thing. Now, Kakashi goes and he's trying to teach everybody tree and water walking, or just tree walking, I think, and he's trying to teach it to Naruto. Naruto, of whom doesn't really care enough to actually want to learn how to do it with chakra, so he kind of just casually climbs up the tree. People are wondering exactly how he's doing that right now, and he just looks at them and he basically just says, well, I'm pretty sure you guys wouldn't be able to do it even if I told you, so there's no point in me telling you in the first place. Before he casually just walks off of the tree and proceeds to go back into the cabin. So after going into the cabin, he goes and he basically meditates and trains and does normal things. He does that for the few weeks that they stay at the cabin. Basically, actually they wouldn't stay at the cabin that long, because the reason they stayed there was because Kakashi was weakened by Sharingan use, and he was never weakened because he never fought with Zabuza. So after probably only 2-3 days maybe, they'd end up going. Sakura at this point would know how to tree walk, but Sasuke would not. So, because again, he didn't learn it till like really close to before they left. So with that, he doesn't actually know tree walking, at least not yet. That's not really all that important, because they don't really have to do it until a while later, but whatever. So they go over to the bridge, and there they're expecting to have another fight. And they get it. Haku and Zabuza are there waiting for them at the bridge. Naruto would once again challenge Haku, while Kakashi would basically just tell Naruto, he was like, you fight him, and I'm gonna fight Zabuza, okay? Okay, good. Naruto would just shrug, and he'd be like, okay, whatever, before falling into the ground and basically appearing next to where Haku was. With a flame sword in his hand, he was about to basically instantly end his life with absolutely no difficulty whatsoever, but Haku managed to jump out of the way, just barely escaping death barely escaping death is what I'm trying to say. He summons his basically mirrors, and he's just like, you will not be able to escape from this, you will not even be able to react to my speed, basically doing that normal thing, and Naruto would just kind of smile at this. Before basically massive flame would erupt from around all of Naruto's body, easily melting all of the mirrors with absolutely no difficulty whatsoever. At this, Haku would be like, you're kidding, right? And Naruto would just start slowly walking towards Haku now. He would hold out his wrist and shoot the kunai with the chain on it at Haku, and then he would hold up his other hand. A small orange flame would light, and it would slowly start changing colors. At first, it would go to blue, and then to white, then to red, and then it would go to a yellowish color. A really deep yellow, and it would basically just shoot a flame at Haku, basically instantly, completely turning him into literally nothing but dust in a matter of moments. So with that, Haku would be dead, and he would not really have the ability to save Zabuza at that point, because again, he's fucking dead. So he wouldn't be able to do anything like that, and Zabuza would die to Kakashi, just like he does normally. Except a little bit sooner rather than later. So then the gang leader would show up. He would easily be killed along with all of his he would either easily be captured and or killed along with all of his henchmen. I don't remember exactly what happened with that. And they'd end up going back to the village. So after going back to the village itself, they would basically just be at the village for a while before Kakashi would tell them about the upcoming Chunin exams. Everybody's pretty excited about this, and they decide that actually, yeah, they kind of want to do that. So they decide that they're going to go into the Chunin exams. So they're still pretty sure it was like I'm not sure exactly how long it was, but they have a brief time period before that happens. In this time, Sasuke would master his tree walking, and things like that would be relatively normal. One thing that hasn't happened yet is Sasuke hasn't reawakened his Sharingan just yet because he never had that encounter with Haku because Naruto fought him on his own. So he hasn't actually awakened his Sharingan just yet. So with that, the Chunin exams begins, starting with the written exams, which Naruto doesn't have to cheat and he easily passes with absolutely no difficulty whatsoever, actually getting the highest scores literally ever. And he gets complete 100% on literally anything that they could throw at him regarding intelligence because, again, he has fucking photographic memory and basically just spends most of his time reading books and doing things like that just because he doesn't really care about doing stuff with any of the other kids like most people do. So, with that, the Forest of Death would begin, but I'm going to cover that in the part for tomorrow. So, I'll see you guys in the next part. Peace out. Bye. And yeah, later.